George Shea is the commissioner of Major League Eating, and you see him every year on the ESPN broadcast from Coney Island, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. I mean, this is the Super Bowl. I want you to understand the gravity of this particular radio segment. This is talking to Roger Goodell Saturday before the Super Bowl. Am I overselling that, George, or is this one of the greatest radio gets of all time?
I will say this: Roger Goodell and I are very frequently spoken of in the same breath. So I can't really say, but it's, I do have a position, and the difference really between us and other major league sports here in the U.S. is we're global. They're national, we're global.
You're both multi-billion-dollar businesses, but yours happens to be he has visions of being global one day, but you already are.
Yes, we're global. They may be beating us on the revenue slightly, but we're global. And in fact, this year we have eaters coming, and they're in town already. Actually, eaters coming from Brazil, Australia, South Korea, Japan, England, and Canada. So we have a very strong representation from the globe, and I don't know that anybody could beat Joey Chestnut. We may see Miki Sudo tested in the females because we have a woman from Japan. Ooh. But Joey is pretty dominant right now.
And George, you still pinch yourself when you know what you're running and know, like you're saying, you have international eaters flying in today to get there tomorrow. Is it life to you now? Do you ever pinch yourself and say, "Damn, I'm doing something"?
Well, I'm a difference maker. I'm making a difference in our culture, and bringing competitive eating to the entire nation and globe. But I will say this: there is no event, and I've been to certainly many sporting events and other kinds of events. There is nothing like the 4th of July. The energy is just incredible. It's the 4th of July. You're in the sun, and it's without question my favorite day of the year, and it's a great time.
But on the other side of Crowder's question about pinching yourself, when do you also I don't know, you're looking at Roger Goodell on Super Bowl Sunday, he's sitting in a suite and he's being feted with the best food and beverages. And you're setting up barricades around the stage, right? You're a little more hands-on, no?
100% hands-on. If you recall last year, we had a protester and I had to get my hands dirty. Right. I'm not afraid of the wet work, my friend.
That's right.
And I was on him. I thought I was instant reaction, but Joey had him in a headlock by the time I got him. And but yes, I will do security. I will make sure the barriers are in the correct place, and I do media when it's all done. I'm managing the media, but it's we have a huge crew from Nathan's and security and the police and all that. But before I forget, I have to tell you. We have a secondary sponsor, Pepsi, number one over-the-counter acid reducer.
Congratulations.
And which I think is highly appropriate.
It is.
And and that just sort of, again, shows that, there's a broad-based appeal to this.
Do you have to kind of massage that with Nathan's? Hey, we're bringing in Pepsi, but this is not an indictment of your product?
It's very funny because many people would have that discussion. We did not, because I don't think anybody thinks that of Nathan's hot dogs. So we were very fortunate.
You just ignored it, and you just threw the Pepsi logos all over everything and said, well, wherever this falls, it falls.
Yes, thank you, exactly. And let me just say this. A lot of sports have been ruined by commercialism. You see this all the time. It's just nothing but it. But we have been protected from that by the quality of our sponsors. So we're very fortunate. And, I'm sorry, guys, I'm on the street. You're in New York City. It's lucky we can get down the street.
You're not in Coney Island yet.
So I jumped off the subway to talk to you, and then I'm going to jump back on the subway and go out. It's time for me to run through the intros and run through the show with the stage crew.
That's awesome. Speaking of sponsors, George, you don't have to call names, but have you turned down sponsors in the past because it doesn't fit what you're trying to show?
We have gotten a bunch of sponsor requests that either that didn't sort of tally up on the money side, or they wanted to do things we couldn't do, or they just weren't quite right. but generally, you know, we've had Heinz, we've had Pepto-Bismol, we've had Old Navy back in the day, and lots of, you know, mustards and this kind of stuff. And we even had a last-minute inquiry from a mustard about 2 days ago, and we're kind of saying, we'd love to do that, but I don't know how I turn that around in 2 days. But, you know, it's the thing about it is everything in the world is now social media, as you know. We sort of oriented this all toward earned media, you know, traditional media, but we get like 10 billion consumer impressions with real media globally. So it gets a good reach. But I will say this, the important thing and the fun thing is like watching Joey push that record, trying to break 76. I don't think he can do it this year. I don't know what it's like in Florida, but here it's very hot and super humid. And that, I think, is going to push down on the numbers.
Yeah, George Shea is with us. He's the commissioner of Major League Eating. You will see him tomorrow on ESPN. So this is, I am guessing, appointment television. I know it is in my household. This is appointment television for a lot of people on the 4th of July, right? The Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, the live broadcast on ESPN. I'm guessing this is appointment television.
Well, it's certainly, you know, it's an interesting thing. I get it all the time, you know, if I go to an event or if I, you know, talking to someone, but you don't know if it's sort of self-selection, but everybody's going, oh, we watch that every year with my family. Every year we, you know, we're in the golf course, we get off and go to the clubhouse, we're at the pool, we come in, the beach, we come in. So, but given how many people say it to me as a representative sample, you would think it'd be a 10 million person viewing kind of thing. So I don't know if that means someone has watched it one year and then sort of thinks of it that way or what, but I do hear that a lot. Our numbers, I think, are 1 million plus on the initial broadcast for ESPN, and they do a bunch of re-airs, which drop off, obviously, but it gets good coverage. I mean, it gets good viewership on that initial air.
I mean, it's, you know, listen, it's noon on a July 4th. You know, a lot of people are trying to be outside. I think those numbers are probably spectacular when you really break it down for when it airs and oftentimes.
I think we beat baseball. We beat baseball that day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But but you know, I had mentioned to you last year a very special segment that we have, which we will have again. By the way, let me just distract for 1 second. I cannot sing at all, but I am going to sing for the crowd Fernando by ABBA. With a
really? Now, how did you come up with that song choice?
You know, we thought, what's the stupidest song we know? And that's what came.
That is an unbelievably stupid song.
It is. Well, it's, you know, it's about, you know, the bittersweet memories of the past, and I don't know, revolutionaries fighting in Mexico or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I will be singing that.
Are you going to be rapping, though? Because you always rap the intros. I mean, you always have these great, grandiose intros. Usually was Badlands would rap something with you. Is he still eating, or has he just gone to drinking?
Well, he's just really focused on the chugging right now. Badlands Chugs is on YouTube. That's his channel. 3.4 million followers. So, I mean, it's a very serious venture in a way. And he will be holding, we will be holding the World Chugging Championship against, it will be him and 4 others. And a gallon of lemonade, the current record is 24 and a half seconds for a gallon. Badlands is really, really a good chugger. And, you know, it's just a tribute to the, you know, his abnormally wide esophagus and of course, capacity in his belly. And it's beautiful to watch. But we will be doing that. That will be on ESPN.
That's been a nice addition because he was terrible at the eating of the hot dogs. I mean, I don't think it was a secret within the industry, but he was terrible at eating the hot dogs.
He was not the best, but you have to remember, I first met him in 97, and he came from a time when knocking down 24 hot dogs and buns would put you at the very top, literally the very top of the league. He kind of plateaued there, quickly got to that kind of a number, 22, 23, 24, and then was not able to follow the hockey stick of Kobayashi and Joey Chestnut. And now Miki Sudo, who's the female champion of the world, who can eat 48 and a half and is trying to break 50 this year.
And George, speaking of that, like you speak about Kobayashi and Chestnut, Pseudo, and all those eaters. Well, like your talent, are you do you try to hold your talent? Like, do you understand that they have other opportunities, like like a Badlands Chugs, where now he might move away from you and go to other ventures? Like nobody wants LeBron to go play basketball in another country. Are you
Dana
protective
White.
of?
Are you Dana White?
Yeah, are you Dana? Are you protective of your talent?
Well, to be honest, if I could control it, I would, but it's very, very difficult to control. And I don't begrudge them the opportunity to make money, whether it's with other sponsors or doing other things, right? So Matt Stoney, who is one of our guys, I was with him in the airport one time. It's probably 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And he said, I may start a YouTube channel. I think if I could get 100,000 followers, I could actually make some money. It'd be a lot of fun. I said, you should do that. That's fantastic. And, like supportive, but, fine. And then he has 16 million followers now. I mean, I assume he's making millions of dollars a year.
Ed Stoney has 16 million followers on YouTube.
16 million followers. He's one of the biggest on the channel. I mean,
what does he do?
Cheers,
he eats.
He eats, and it's it goes to this question: why is competitive eating of all varieties so popular? And I would attribute, of course, 98% to me. But
right.
But beyond that would be like the truth is that people are obsessed with food. You see people on their Instagram all the time tweeting their lunch or whatever, right? Posting their lunch. And, it's just crazy. People will watch, and there are just hundreds of these people doing challenges and stuff like that. And they may have 30, 40, 50, or hundreds of thousands or millions. And they can really make money. But that's a great way for the eaters to make money. Joey has never really pursued that like the others.
I posted my lunch today on Instagram. As a matter of fact, it was avocado toast. Have you had an avocado toast eating competition?
We had an avocado toast eating contest.
How did that go?
We have had almost the entire kitchen cabinet, and we've had avocado toast, pizza, potato, lobster, all the tamale, burrito, everything. It's the only one that we haven't done is that lutefisk, which is like gefilte fish up in like Wisconsin or something. And there is a contest like that, but we've never been involved in that. It's like one of those.
So you've got your sights set on growth, like Roger Goodell has his sights set on growth.
Exactly right. I have dreams.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right, to paint the picture for everybody, George Shea is with us. Tomorrow is the biggest day on the year for Major League Eating. It is at Coney Island. It's the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Just paint the picture for everybody. When can they tune in? Where? Obviously, Joey Chestnut and Mickey Pseudo are odds-on favorites. Who might be a challenger in the men's and women's categories?
All right, so the day will begin when the bros, as I call them, start lining up at about 8 a.m., face painted, etc., so they can be right up front. And then that we will let them into that initial area, which we call the friends and family or the pit area, and right in front of the stage at about 9. So our show will start at 10:30. Women will eat at 11. I believe that is live on ESPN3, the web. That will be recapped in the ESPN broadcast that begins at 12 noon. And that it's up on our website, but it's going to be re-aired all day. I think it's on either ESPN2 or one of the ESPN channels, and then it's re-aired on ESPN, et cetera. But what will happen, 12 o'clock, they'll start their show. 12:30-ish, 12:25, I'll start the intros. Contest starts at 12:40 or whatever, and then it's done by 1. And what we're looking at here is what's the weather. There's lots of talk of possible, lightning and thunder showers just because of the humidity, that kind of thing. But I'm hoping it holds off until, later that afternoon.
And again, who's going to be the biggest challenge to Joey Chestnut? I don't think he can break the record either. It's too hot. I think we've seen that before. And Mickey Pseudo, you said, might be able to break a record, but who would be the biggest challenger to each?
So Jeffrey Esper, number 2 ranked eater in the world, 50+ hot dogs and buns. But the truth of the matter is Joey would have to stumble in a big way for for Jeffrey to make up that space, right? Make up those numbers. Very, very hard. And he seems to have a mental block with hot dogs because he's beaten Joey many, many times. In fact, he's got 20 world records and 19 wins out of his last 23 contests. But he just, I don't know whether it's the pressure or the sort of perceived dominance of Joey. He doesn't perform as well in hot dogs. So I think that's very difficult. We have a couple guys from Japan, as I mentioned, in town. Don't think they're going to beat that. I think they'll be between 40 and 50, but that is still, 30 hot dogs or so fewer than Joey. However, there is a great Japanese eater, and her name is Mayoi Ebihara, and she goes by Ebi Mayo in Japan, which means shrimp mayonnaise. And I don't know why one would ever have that as a name, but that's her name, shrimp mayonnaise.
Certain questions don't even need to be
however, she 120 pounds, 5 feet 1 inches tall, yet she can eat 20 pounds of ramen, and she can eat, just enormous volumes. The question is, can she do the speed? However, the one thing I would say is she does have the capacity to beat Miki Sudo, but she may not have the technique.
I am not looking at my online book right now, but just out of curiosity, you think Joey does over or under 72 and a half hot dogs?
72 and a half. That's whoever did that's really good, because that's right in the I would say under.
That's why they always
I
get
would
my
say
money.
under, but if it's 72 and a half, I think that's a really good over under number, because that would be right about where he that's where I would put him. I think if I had to bet, I'd bet under, but just because it's super muggy here.
This is what makes you better than Roger Goodell, because Roger Goodell would have poo-pooed that question, and you say, "Hey, this is what America wants to know," and I'm not afraid to give you an answer.
Well,
we love you, George.
Am I getting myself in trouble? Let me caveat that. However, I don't approve of betting, and I would ask everybody not to ever think of what I said. That's just wild, rampant speculation. Don't bet money on what I said.
Right. Well, there you go. You've covered your ass, for lack of a better term. You have covered your ass. In relish. I don't know what that means, but I want to throw some hot dog. I wanted to throw hot dog terminology.
That just got nasty.
Wrap it up with a nice bow. Tomorrow, ESPN noon. The Nathan's hot dog eating contest from Coney Island. This is honestly one of the greatest things you'll ever watch on television, and hopefully you watch it tomorrow. George, good luck, and we'll talk to you sometime after the event, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much for having me on. It's always a great time talking, and I hope you have a great holiday tomorrow.
Thanks so much. You do the same. There you go. George Shea breaking down Damian Lillard and Radko Gudas, Anthony Duclair, and all the other stuff that we're talking about today. I'm telling you, that's a big get the day before the hot dog eating contest.
You hit it. It's Roger Goodell Saturday before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of busy. Like, he's got a lot on his plate, no pun. And here he is. Although George didn't sound like he had that much on his plate. Like, it almost seemed like he was looking for something to do this afternoon.
Greatness is never overwhelmed.
And he was not overwhelmed. He did not seem like seemed like any typical Monday. Didn't it?
Because it's greatness.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he was in, we talk about Jim Larinaga. We talked to him and it's March Madness, and he's kind of different.
Yeah.
George was fine. It didn't matter. Checks him cleared. He's good.
Greatness.
All right. Let's take a break, and we'll come back with more Hochman and Crowder.